What is going on, boys and girls of YouTube? We're back at it with another top 5 video. We dropped the jungle one yesterday. Today we're gonna go over the mid lane mages, which I actually think there's a lot of knowledge to really process on, a lot for not even like saying skill level, but someone who doesn't play the game all the time. There's a lot of stuff that you might miss, and I think this video will be very valuable if you're a mage player or someone like a jungler who tends to kill mages a lot. This should help you out a good bit. So let's get into it. Hit the like button, make sure you're subscribed, and let's talk about this. We're gonna work our way from number 5 on the list, so the worst of the best 5 mages, down to number 1. And the first one on the list is Merlin. Very straightforward. Big part of this season so far has been your ability to do damage safely over walls because of all of the different corridors and walls that are in the jungle. Most team fights will take place in and around objectives in the jungle: Fire Giant, Gold Fury, Pyromancer, buffs, different areas like that, right? So these mages that are excelling right now are the ones that can throw their abilities over the wall, stay behind the wall and stay safe, and kind of just chill and play off of a ward vision and stuff like that. Merlin is one of those gods. On top of that, his laning phase is fairly easy because of how good his clear is. He's not as good as he was last season because the level 1 clear doesn't matter because you're level 2 coming into lane as a mid laner. It's pretty much everybody is level 2 walking into lane. So he's not really full clearing and getting to do anything crazy early because you need to take that dash to stay safe in case you get ganked. But as soon as you get into the grouping stages or the rotating stages, he is very strong and very potent. And the mage build that's out right now, that's pretty much, core, is kind of just slapping with him. He's doing very well with it. So starter item wise, you are going into the Pendulum. You are then going into your Book of Thoth, which pretty much everyone is going. You are then going into Divine Ruin because they buffed it and made it insanely strong. You are then going into your Soul Gem to get a little bit more cooldown online. Make sure you're able to spam your abilities, get another proc. Then you're going to go into more pen and grab your Karn's coin. And then your final item is going to be your Soul Reaver. That's going to allow you to fully burst down. Now, if you are wanting to spam a little less and lose that Soul Gem, you can go for the new Tablet of Destinies into this build. It was buffed a little bit, but there hasn't been enough testing to say that it's better. So I'm not sold on it being an item that you should 100% build. If you are also looking for less CDR but more pen, you could drop the Soul Gem and go into a Spear of the Magus here. So you would drop Soul Gem and then you would go for more pen here and you would go right to the Spear of the Magus. This will up your damage dramatically and it'll add on and give you 30% pen because you are lacking a little bit of pen. People are complaining about tanks, but with 20% pen, I have no problem killing tanks with all the extra damage you're getting from Soul Reaver and Divine Ruin, or even that Soul Gem if you only have 20%. So these builds are all options for you. When you are playing Merlin, play very safe in lane. Do not play overly aggressive. Just play to get into the grouping stages and start rotating early, because if you rotate into these fights and poke people along the way, you pretty much win the team fight for your team before the fight even starts. It's kind of crazy. So Merlin is number 5 on our list. They are all mages. We're not going to start looking at any hunters. It's all mages. Next on the list, number 4 is going to be Morgan Le Fay. You've seen her spike back into play. She did get a buff. I don't remember what patch it was. I know she got a slight buff back after being nerfed kind of into the ground, but she is running the exact same mage build. Mage builds are not varying on your traditional mages. They are only varying on gods that can really gain from poly or gods that play differently in the role, like Soul. Those are the gods you'll see different builds on. Morgan Le Fay is not one of those. Morgan Le Fay is a spam god. She has damage over the wall with her 1, very good poke damage over the wall with her 1 and with her ultimate. And then she has self peel off of her 2 and then the movement off of her 3. So she's able to rotate around and poke a lot while also still clearing perfectly fine. I think the biggest thing is that her 1 ability, her what's it called? The Sigil of Mastery. It'll cover an entire corridor. Pretty much every corridor can be fully covered by that ability in the jungle, which makes her jungle fights cracked. She also is throwing abilities down really long corridors. Her 3 will go right down the corridor perfectly fine, and her 2 will cover the whole corridor while also allowing some CC. And then her ultimate, another long straight line ability that you can throw and cover an entire corridor in the jungle. Having gods that do mass damage in these small areas is game breaking, and Morgan Le Fay is one of them. That's why she's number 4 on the list. I do recommend when you play her, always pass safe. Do not be overly aggressive and watch your matchups. Anyone who can play around her 2 properly can be hard to play. So if you're getting bopped by junglers, it's because you're picking them into bad junglers. So gods like Fenrir, Dodgy, Kleena, Kleena's 1, Dodgy's 2, and Fenrir's 3 will all follow through on this 2. This 2 will not push them away. They are knockback and knock up immune during it. So those kind of abilities are the abilities you have to really watch out for, and you're gonna have to save your 1 self peel rather than your 2 in matchups like that. Whereas other matchups like a Ravana in your face who doesn't use his 2 right, or a Nemesis or a Kali, your 2 is gonna push them away right away and give you that movement you need and that distance you need to kind of walk away, because that paired with your 3, which is giving you movement speed, is just a good combo that keeps you very safe. But you have to be deep back in the fights. You can't be running aggressively through the jungle. You just got to be smart about it, and you will have a lot of success with Morgan Le Fay. Number 3 on our list is Soul. Soul is an insanely good ADC mage right now. You're seeing ADC mages and then like Ishtar and Rama be played. Those are like the top ADC gods. Soul is probably the 2nd best ADC mage in the game behind Olaram. But Soul in the mid lane as a mage creates so much pressure and is unkillable in that short lane. So in the ADC lane, her 3 won't take her all the way back to the tower. It's a really long lane now. In the mid lane, if you pop your 3, you're getting back to your tower. You should be safe all the time unless you insta-die to some crazy CC or some damage combo. She also has all the pressure in the world, which allows you to get the bastions early, which gives you a gold lead. And then anytime anyone rotates poorly or you get a pick, you can kind of play really up on that tower and poke at it and potentially get the tower early because of your safety in your 3. On top of that, your ability damage between the combo on your 2 and your ultimate right now is nuts. Your 2 late game is hitting anywhere from 800 to 1000 damage. And then your ultimate combo is just doing ridiculous damage if you're able to hit a full combo into somebody. You have really good sustain. You have some of the best objective clear and play in the game. Your passive makes it so your autos are always pumping out insane damage. And she's just doing really well in this meta. And the thing with Soul is she doesn't have to go that traditional mage build. I talked about Morgan Le Fay using the same build as Merlin basically. Soul can play an ability-based build all day, every day, but it's not necessary. You can go into an auto attack build as well. And if you're doing that, I personally like to go Sands of Time into your Bancroft's talent. And when you go Bancroft's, I like to upgrade that into the, where is it? Nimble. So you get a little bit of attack speed out of it, right? Then I like to go into Telekines because that attack speed is nuts. Then you're going to go into Spear. So this is going to be triple lifesteal. Telekines has lifesteal now, triple lifesteal, all the sustain you need in the world. Just fully sustain the whole game. You can then go Cyclopean if you're able to play around that auto attacks. There's auto attacks. If you're not, you can go into a mage item here, like a Charon's and a Soul Reaver. Like I said, if you're playing around the auto attack build, you're going to want more pen at this stage in the game, and you're not going to keep building auto attack items. You aren't Freya. You don't need a ton of auto attack items at this stage. You're going to go into the Charon's coin. This damage build will be nuts. It will be insane. If you're not feeling like you need a lot more pen, this can be a Typhon's Fang. This is where Soul's build varies game to game, where you have kind of the same core items, so you could swap it up at the end. If they aren't building a lot of anti-heal, or if you just want more lifesteal, this Typhon's Fang will be proccing off of the other 3 lifesteal items. It'll be getting more passive off of that, including itself. Your sustain outside of a team fight is still nuts. Like, you will full heal off of one wave very quickly, but you're only running around with 20% pen. That's why I think the Karn's coin is a little bit more valuable here in this slot. You can also go for full pen if you don't want the Cyclopean. You can go in the Karn's coin and then Typhon's as your last item, and you'll have 40% pen. You will be melting tanks if that is the issue that you're struggling with. So those are all kind of just what you're looking at on this god. I do go Pen of the Ages here to get you a little bit of CDR into that build that you wouldn't necessarily have in most builds. Like I said, this is more of that sustain auto attack build. You can go on Soul. If you're feeling yourself or you're feeling like you want to play a little bit differently, you want to play around a mage build, it's perfectly fine. You're not going to go wrong with your build on Soul unless you're not comboing power with procs with pen. You have to have that combo. You can't be just going a whole bunch of dumb items, but you don't have to go into a full auto attack build or really any auto attack build at all. It's just not necessary. You can go into that standard mage build, which is going to be Book of Thought, Divine Ruin. This slot, you can go into the Polynomicon. I don't think you're going to want that. I don't think you're going to need it. So you're going to end up going to that Soul Gem. If you're going for the ability build, then you're going to go into the Karn's coin, and then you're going to go into the Soul Reaver. This build pumps damage just like any other mage, and your auto attacks are still hitting very hard. Just process that. You still auto very hard without having attack speed. You don't need to have attack speed to be pumping damage. So Soul, so number 3 on our list, really strong god in this meta. It's stupid how much she can do. Number 2 on our list should be this shouldn't be surprising to me at all. If I can find him. Am I blind? I am blind. He's down here. I'm looking for Huang, and it is Huang. So Huang was the best mage all of last year, and I still think he is up there and insane. All of his abilities can be thrown over walls. All of his abilities cover entire corridors, all things we've been talking about on everyone, as well as having that ultimate, and that range on his ultimate is so nuts. Late game, his ultimate's hitting for 1500 to 1600. His 2 is hitting for, I think it's hitting for like a 1200 to 1300 with procs, so around 8 to 900, and then procs are gonna get you 12, 1300, and that's a very easy ability to hit now. And then your 1 is just immensely important in these team fights because it'll peel tanks off of your mages. It's a root. And it's a lot of damage, and it covers a long distance, and when you're fighting in the jungle, that long distance will cover the entire corridor, which makes it almost impossible to miss. So he is pumping right now. Same mage builds, traditional mage build. You can use Smite Source if you ever need to go look at them, but it's the exact same mage build. They don't vary on these gods. There's no need to swap them up. You have anti-heal on the builds, you have cooldown in the builds, you have power in the builds, you have pen in the builds. There's no reason to swap up these builds at all, unless tablet becomes meta. If tablet becomes meta, I will update Smite Source and the builds will still be on there. So check Smite Source for your builds. Huang having one of the safest, movement abilities in the game out of his 3. It can be crippled, so you can't go up in it, but overall, you can't be pulled out of it. You're not going to get a wheel exalted out of it. It's crazy how strong that 3 is and how much time it buys in a team fight. On top of that, having the CC immune ult, so you don't have to worry about all these heavy CC abilities, Ares ult, dodgy ult, stun, stuff like that. And the repositioning it creates in a team fight. So if you're using the ult correctly, which you play Huang enough, you'll get used to it. That ult will reposition the enemy team, not your team, not you. You will move the enemy team around. And it is so much damage and just so much confusion that you're creating that it will win team fights for you, especially in the late game. It will win a lot of team fights for you. But the biggest thing with this god is that over the wall damage, being able to throw your 2 instantly over a wall. Someone's standing on a ward, someone's walking over a ward, instant poke. Late game, that's half of somebody's HP on a squishy. That is the value out of these gods. That over the wall crazy damage is the value you need to really just push and take advantage of right now from these gods like Huang. And I can't get over the fact that I'm telling you, he's safe in this mid lane. He's very safe. It is hard to kill him. He can just keep spamming his 3 under the tower. You have to end up diving towers to kill him, and then the ult comes into play from him, and it's scary. It's hard to kill him. It is very, very, very difficult. That's why he's number 2 on our list. Number 1 on our list, I think it's going to be a surprise. I tweeted about it today. So if you've seen the tweet, then it won't be a surprise. It's Agni. Agni has been outperforming every single mage in this meta at a high level of ranked. I have seen Agni mains galore. I have seen people who have like 90% games played in mid of just Agni and with very, very high win rates. And it's because of how simple and easy this god plays on this map. He has the full over the wall effect, to throw my abilities over the wall. And how does he do it? He has a stun combo that he could throw over the wall and follow up with more damage. In the late game, your ult, 1 bomb and 1 stun combo with all of your items will 100 to 0 a squishy mage or hunter or jungler. And I say that because the proc's gonna get them down to 1 health and someone else is gonna kill them, or you're gonna throw another bomb out because that second bomb is gonna land every time you hit a stun combo. In the early game, the control you have with the damage off of your 2 and your dash make you an insane threat. And we're talking about over the wall damage. We're talking about all these team fight damage. It's the range CC, which is crazy rare in Smite, which if you think about it, it really is. Most of the gods being played right now in the meta don't even have heavy CC. We said Soul was a top god. We said Merlin was a top god. They have no CC really. And then we said Morgan Le Fay, who really only has 1 CC ability out of her 1, which has to hit and you have to use a certain use of your 1. Yuan's got a little bit more because you got a rune to push, but no hard stuns at range from any of these gods, except for Agni. But that's not what pushes him over the top. What really pushes Agni over the top is he is one of the best mages into almost every single assassin. I tweeted, Agni's the best mage, maybe a top 3 god, and someone said, LOL, eat my Fenrir brutalized. And I was like, LOL, the Agni flame, Path of Flames with items is going to 100 to 0 you. So this debuff, when you hit somebody, it lasts for 3 seconds. The dash is up for 2 seconds. If someone's sitting in it, it will reapply over and over again and end up being a 5-second worth of dots and ticks. 5 seconds worth of dots and ticks is a lot of procs because it procs every half a second. So if you're in it for 5 seconds, that's 10 procs. That's 10 procs of 60. So that's 600 base damage, as well as 15% scaling. Late game, you're sitting around 1,000 power, maybe more, maybe a little bit less, somewhere around 1,000 power. That's 150 damage a tick, right? 150 times 10. It's 1,500 damage. So you're doing 2100 damage just off of the ability if you sit in a full 3. So a brutalize would sit in a full 3. And then you're talking about Soul Reaver proc, talking about Divine Ruin proc, and you're talking about Soul Gem proc. That's going to be an extra 600 to 700 damage. So sitting in a full 3 could do upwards of 3000 damage late game on an Agni. Good luck with your brutalize killing an Agni before that 3 kills you, as well as the fact that you have self peel out of the stun, so you could stun off the brutalize. You have all this damage on top of yourself, because if you dash and stun, you're gonna bomb drop on yourself. Your bombs are hitting for 300 plus 65% scaling, right? 65% of 1000 magical power. It's a lot of damage. Your bombs late game are hitting somewhere around 1000. You have 3 of them, 3000 damage. So 3000, 3000, and then your 2, which is a very good ability, by the way, is doing 300 plus another 65. So this is doing close to 1000. And then you've got your 1, which we haven't really talked about, which now has an explosion effect, which they added not too long ago. That's 100 base and 20%. So late game, that would be 200 damage. So this is doing a 300 burst of extra damage on top of everything, as well as proccing your Soul Reaver and proccing your other items. Agni is nuts. It's one of the few mages that is capable of self-damaging peel. One of the other ones being Merlin, which is in our top 5. And Morgan Le Fay, which is in our top 5. It's because these gods are capable of killing somebody on top of them, which is what assassins do. They jump on top of you. You have good matchups into these assassins, which is what a lot of people are complaining about. You also have a lot of self-control of these tanks that are going to be looking for you. Because of your movement, because of your stun combo. Nobody wants the beads and Agni stun combo. It's very rare that people do, especially not tanks who usually don't even have beads in the first place. So you can self-peel and kind of get some distance while also still pumping out damage with the mage build that we talked about. I love Agni in this meta. I've played against it and I hate playing against it. And I played it, a game of it today, and it was some of the most fun I've had this year so far. And it was on a mage. I think Agni is nuts. If you aren't playing Agni, start picking him up and start learning him. It does have if you've never really put time in Agni, it can have a slight learning curve. It's not hard. It'll just be a slight learning curve getting used to the timing on everything and what you can actually do. So go have fun. Hopefully this top 5 video helps you. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Then I will see you in the video tomorrow, the next day, and the next day.